The Kethvar stalked through the twisted metal corridors of the derelict colony ship, its 6 legs moving with predatory grace across the blood-stained deck plates. The hunter stood nearly 3 meters tall, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming, dully in the emergency lighting. Forearms ended in razor-sharp talons, and its compound eyes tracked every shadow, every movement. It had been hunting the survivors for 3 standard days now, ever since their ship had answered the distress beacon from this supposedly abandoned vessel. The Kethvar had learned long ago that humans made excellent prey, soft, slow, and deliciously. Terrified when cornered, they relied too heavily on their crude weapons and fragile technology. The scent trail led deeper into the ship's bowels, past twisted bulkheads and shattered viewports that offered glimpses of the void beyond. The hunter's mandibles clicked in anticipation. This particular human had been clever, more elusive than the others it had already claimed. But now the trail was fresh and the prey was running out of places to hide. The corridor ahead opened into what had once been the ship's hydroponics bay. Broken growing tanks lined the walls, their contents long since withered and died. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows between the metallic frameworks that had once supported lush vegetation. The Kethvar paused, its sensory organs analyzing. The air. The human scent was strong here, sweat, fear, and something else. Something that made its predatory instincts sing with satisfaction. The prey was close. Very close. A soft sound echoed from behind a cluster of overturned growing modules, a whimper, quickly stifled. The hunter's compound eyes focused on the source, and it began its final approach, talons extended ready to end this particular hunt. As it rounded the debris, the Kethvar found its prey at last. The human female crouched in a makeshift shelter constructed from salvaged metal plates and hydroponic tubing. She was smaller than the males it had hunted before, with long dark hair matted with sweat and grime. Her clothes were torn, revealing numerous cuts and bruises from her flight through the ship's hazardous passages. But what truly caught the hunter's attention was the small bundle she clutched protectively against her chest. A human infant, no more than a few months old by the Kethvar's estimation. The child was the source of the whimpering sounds, and the female was desperately trying to quiet it while keeping her terrified eyes fixed on the approaching predator. The Kethvar's mandibles spread wide in what passed for a smile among its species. Too prey for the effort of one hunt. The infant would provide a tender appetizer before the main course. It took another step forward, savoring the moment. The human mother pressed herself against the far wall of her improvised shelter, clutching her offspring tighter. Her eyes darted left and right, searching for an escape route that didn't exist. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Please don't hurt my baby." The Kethvar didn't understand the words, but it recognized the universal tone of a parent begging for their young. It had heard similar pleas across a dozen worlds, from 100 different species. They all sounded the same in the end. The hunter raised its forearms, talons gleaming, prepared to strike. And then something changed in the human female's eyes. The terror didn't disappear. It transformed. Where there had been helpless fear, now there was something else. Something that made the Kethvar's predatory instincts suddenly scream warnings, instead of encouragement. The woman's grip on her child shifted, securing the infant against her body with one arm, while her free hand reached for something behind her. Her posture straightened, and when she looked at the Kethvar again, it was no longer the gaze of cornered prey. It was the stare of another predator. "You want to hurt my baby?" she said, her voice now steady as steel. "You'll have to go through me first." The human mother lunged forward with impossible speed, wielding a jagged piece of metal she had torn from the ship's hull. The Kethvar, caught off guard by the sudden reversal, stumbled backward as the improvised weapon raked across its exoskeleton, leaving deep gouges in the chitinous surface. But the woman wasn't finished. Even as the hunter regained its balance and lashed out with its talons, she twisted away, protecting her child while simultaneously grabbing a length of hydroponic tubing. She whipped it around the Kethvar's legs with the skill of someone who had learned to use every available resource as a weapon. The alien predator crashed to the deck, its compound eyes wide with shock and confusion. This wasn't how hunts were. Supposed to go. Prey ran, prey hid, prey begged for mercy they wouldn't receive. Prey didn't fight back with the fury of a supernova. The human mother stood over the fallen hunter, her makeshift spear pointed at its throat. Her infant had stopped crying, as if sensing that the danger had passed. The woman's chest rose and fell with exertion, but her hands remained steady. "My name is Sarah Chen," she said, though she knew the creature couldn't understand her words. "I'm a xenobiologist, a wife, and a mother, and you just made the biggest mistake of your very short life." The Kethavar tried to rise, but the human female was faster. The jagged metal pierced its natural armor, finding the soft tissues beneath. Alien blood pooled on the deck plates as the hunter realized, too late, that it had never been the predator. In this encounter, it had been the prey from the very beginning. As the Kethavar's compound eyes dimmed, its last sight was of the human mother gently rocking her child, humming a soft lullaby that seemed utterly at odds with the violence she had just unleashed. She had killed a creature 3 times her size, and weight with nothing but improvised weapons and absolute determination. Sarah Chen gathered her supplies and her baby, stepping carefully around the alien corpse. She had a distress beacon to activate and rescue ships to contact. Her husband would be worried sick, and she had promises to keep. After all, she was a human mother. And there was nothing in the universe more dangerous than a human parent protecting their young. The hunt was over. Humanity had won again.